Hey, it's David Sherry. This is Founder Therapy, helping driven entrepreneurs build better lives and bigger businesses. Today, I want to talk with you about why your team doesn't always understand exactly what you do. And this problem is more common than you might think. I hear this a lot from founders that I work with, especially younger CEOs, and they feel this tension that is building inside their team that the people that they work with, their employees, don't really understand what it is that they do all day. And they say to me, hey, I'm worried that my team members don't really understand the value that I'm providing. And it's not that you're not working hard, it's really that your role and the nature of your role is constantly updating. And when teams doubt the founder's effort, what often ends up happening is the teams start trying to pull the founder into doing different types of work that aren't necessarily the work that the founder should be doing. They get pulled into fires, they get pulled into meetings they don't want to be in, they get pulled into having to do low level work that they don't actually want to be doing. And this is some of the effects that happen when a founder starts to feel like they're not really showing their value to the team. So I wanted to talk about how and why this happens and what you can do about it. Now, the disconnect that tends to happen between what the CEO is doing all day and what the team thinks that the CEO should be doing tends to happen for two structural reasons. The first is that the founder is responsible for the future of the organization, whereas most of the other people on the team and the operators are focused on the present state of the business. Because the founder is focused on the future, they are thinking about things that the team is not even considering yet. They are thinking about what's going to happen 3, 6 months from now. And a lot of times those projects take a much longer time to actually come to fruition. So a founder can feel a little bit at odds with their team because the team is caught firefighting in the present, whereas the founder might be thinking about fundraising or future recruiting or future product releases. And all of these long-term future-oriented projects take a lot of time and they don't have immediate results to show for them. The second structural reason why founders can feel like their team doesn't really understand what they do all day is that the CEO role is always going to be the most ambiguous. If you think about an organization, the people who are hired at let's say, the most entry level aspects of an organization, they're the people who have the most specific role. So the more junior you are in any company, the more specific and clear your role is going to be, what you're expected to do, what you're expected to deliver. It's all going to be super clear, but at the top of an organization, at the CEO or founder level, that role is going to be the most ambiguous, in part because you are discovering and creating what other people should be working on, but also because you're constantly changing roles to meet the demands that the business has. So the CEO or the founder role, it really is intentionally a little bit ambiguous, and it's less defined because you're meant to wear more hats and change hats more frequently than people who are more focused on the present and who are doing. And so for a CEO, maybe 1 month you're fundraising and then you finish that. And then suddenly now you're focused on recruiting. Now you're focused on stabilizing customer success in the business. The responsibilities of a CEO are not fixed. And this is the other reason why people tend to not always understand exactly what a CEO is doing all day. So this ambiguity, it leads to this invisible labor, and founders feel like they have to explain themselves to justify the time that they're spending and maybe even prove that they're contributing value within an organization, even though they're the founder, even though they're the CEO. And the insight that I want to offer you is you're not meant to have somebody else in the organization define the role for you. And you're not meant to fix your role in such a way that you can speak about it with your team and communicate, hey, everyone, here's how I'm providing value. As a founder, your role is really to stay in that more ambiguous process of designing your role around what's most important right now. And so people will try and pull you into the present. They'll try to pull you into something you shouldn't be spending time on. They'll try to pull you into doing work that you don't necessarily want to be doing. And it's up to you to have the confidence and understanding that, no, I'm focusing more on the future. No, I am focused on what's most important right now for the business. No, I don't have to always communicate exactly what I'm focused on, even if the team is working on something different than me. And if you get pulled into a problem or a situation in your business, it's best to think about how that problem can be solved, not just by you, not just by being a heroic leader that is jumping into all these fires in the business, but asking yourself, what system can I put in place that's going to solve this problem without me being there? What person can I hire who can solve this problem so that I don't have to be the person who is doing that? And this is the difference between being a helpful teammate and being a founder and being a CEO. Founders work on the system, they work on the future, and they change their role. A team member who is working hard in the business is going to be in a structured, clear process to solve problems in the immediate. So hold on to your long-term vision. Don't focus on the task list at hand. And it's okay if you feel a little bit like an imposter when you stop being so involved in the day-to-day with the team, because leadership isn't always that visible. Some of the most important work is happening behind the scenes or upstream and before there's a fire that's happening. If you're coming in to firefight, ask yourself, how can I work on this in a way that I don't have to jump in and firefight? I can actually solve this upstream. So your role will evolve. Your contributions will not always be understood. And while it's tempting to give in to the fear that you have around that, or feeling like you should jump in back into some of those day-to-day tasks just to show the team that you're valuable, I would resist that urge and focus on the bigger outcomes. So that's the conversation for today. I hope you have gained some insight about why the top of an organization is always the least clear in terms of the role definition, and why the top of the organization is always the most future focused. And hopefully you can rest in that, knowing that you're doing the right things for your business as the CEO and as the founder. So if you found this helpful, if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below. I'm back here every single week on YouTube with conversations like this, and I'll be back again with more like this very soon. Later.